What's up, guys? Welcome to SmartForm. I'm so excited for you to finally be able to book qualified only appointments, downsell unqualified people, and ultimately to run a buyer only calendar, which is by far the best way to scale your high ticket offer. Let's go ahead and dive right into setting up your SmartForm account. So the first time you're logging in, you're gonna see a page that looks like this. It's gonna say sign in. Don't worry, I know it's your first time. Just go ahead and type the email in that you used to purchase, click continue, and on the next screen, you're gonna see a create password. Obviously for me, it says enter password because I have already made an account. Okay, so once you have logged in, and obviously please go ahead and save that password, you have this dashboard right here. However, I'm gonna circle back to this just because I wanna keep us on track to the most important things, okay? So let's get into it. This is obviously where we have all of our widgets. Yours is gonna be empty, so you're gonna click on create a new widget, and you're gonna get to pick between one of these two options. I'm gonna get into the demo in just a second, but I wanna highlight the difference between the two and why I always recommend the Lead Capture Widget, okay? So the Lead Capture Widget is essentially, it didn't used to be, but now it is because of the updates that we've made. The Lead Capture Widget is the exact same outcome as the Booking Widget, except it's just cleaner. What do I mean by that? The Lead Capture Widget is just your standard name, phone number, and email form, except when they hit submit, the next thing they're gonna see if they're above a 650, i.e. a qualified lead, is your booking calendar, or whatever the heck you want them to see, right? But conversely, if they're below a 649 SimpleCheck credit score, then what they're actually gonna see there is the maybe unqualified booking calendar, or a downsell $27 offer, or $100 offer, etc. Anyway, you get the idea. Here's why, if you don't use this software in this exact way, you literally might as well just cancel your account right now. And I say that because it's just, you're gonna be doing exactly what you've been doing for centuries and nothing's gonna change. So when a qualified call books, 70 to 75% of the time, they show up to the call they book. If someone is below a 649, the show rate is 20 to 25%, okay? So what this means is, if you do not change the way you've been doing things and you just let everybody book onto the calendar who's qualified or unqualified, you are jamming your closers' calendars or even your setters' calendars with people who are more than likely not even gonna show up to the call. Based on the data, we have proof that the show rate is 20 to 25%. So if your closer is getting onto a calendar and they, for example, have 5 calls for the day and 4 out of 5 of those calls are unqualified, there's a good chance that they really only had 1 to 2 real opportunities, and then really only 1, because even if that unqualified lead does show up, they're probably not going to be able to buy anyway. So you follow the logic here, but you'd be so surprised how many people do not take my advice, and then they don't get the value out of SimpleCheck, because obviously I get why. It's just data. It's cool. It's a nice to have for your closers to know who's qualified and who's not before the call. But what takes it to an entirely other level, and we're the only company that does this, is the actual ability from the moment they either opt in or are trying to book a call on this form, right, routing them in real time based on their score. Now, what's also going to happen is from the moment they hit submit on your form, instantly into your CRM, you're gonna get their name. Well, obviously you're gonna get their name. Let me clarify. You're gonna get their SimpleCheck credit score and how much they have in available credit. This is their how much they can spend on all their credit cards, liquid and combined right now, and it is awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward with the Lead Capture Widget. Now that you guys have that context and why it's so important to use this one. Okay, so now what you're gonna see if it's your first time logging in, it's probably gonna look a little bit different. It's gonna be totally blank. And you're gonna need to, first things first, I always recommend turn on X-ray vision. Now, X-ray vision is what enables you to actually run a report. If you just wanted to use SmartForm without this feature, you're absolutely welcome to. However, just make sure that for now, right, I think 99% of the users that sign up with us are using it for this feature. So if you don't turn this on, it's not gonna route people. Anyway, you gotta turn it on. $3.10 per report, or $800, meaning if you hit, let's say you do 500 reports in a day, that would be, $1,600-ish worth of billing. meaning you crossed over that $800 threshold, which means you'd be billed that day for that amount, right? Now, as it says here, if they are not from the United States or they just put in random information into the form, that's going to result in an unsuccessful check because they don't have a credit profile, which means you're not going to be billed for those reports. That's a question I get all the time. So once you've turned on and activated your X-ray vision, now we're going to get into what it actually looks like to set up the form. So I've kind of preloaded it here just to save us some time, but you guys just want to put the, maybe this is a program application, and then if they're qualified, it'll let them book. Maybe, we have so many different clients that do so many different things with this form. It really is awesome. The possibilities of how you'd utilize it are endless, right? You could put this form at the top of your funnel and capture all the leads that way, right? And then segment the data from there. And then you're also getting a qualified, unqualified, or no data tag. So you're going to have one of 3 different tags that show up in your CRM, especially if, actually, I know it happens automatically for GHL. We're pushing an update into the others. But if you are a GHL user, just know that into your CRM, if they're above a 650, you're going to start seeing a qualified tag on these people. Why that's so important is that if I was you, I would want to tell Facebook, hey, Facebook, here's all my qualified leads. Please give me more of these people so that when I spend the same amount of money on ads, I get much better, higher quality leads, okay? So that's going to be a totally different tutorial and training, but just planting the seed there, it's very important to do that. Okay, so I want you guys to see what it looks like live before I actually complete it, just so you can get a general understanding. You can remove the social proof if you don't want that on your form. You can change the stars, all that, but I wanted you to see it live before I actually do anything. Hit continue, and obviously email is going to pop up just so you guys can kind of see it intuitively. There you go, right? So email then shows up, and just to kind of show you here, you hit continue. You can click anywhere here. You don't have to click the checkbox, right? And then it's going to pass me through, and then the next thing I'm going to see is YouTube, because if I am unqualified, meaning I obviously am unqualified, I just use random information, I'm going to be routed to YouTube. That's the settings I have set up in SmartRoute. Right, this is what I just ran through. You guys saw a live test ran, and obviously I went to YouTube. Now, why did I go to YouTube? Because if someone is unqualified, below 649, or, which is this default action, I've set mine up to go to YouTube. Obviously, you saw me type in fake information. It all worked correctly. Now, if I put in my real information, I happen to be above a 650, so I would have went to Amazon, right? And you guys can set this up on your own. I did skip ahead a little bit, but I just wanted to, show you it live. A lot of people need that kind of earlier just to, it's just a cool thing to see. So let's keep moving. Now, again, I just kind of was like speeding through this. This is what you guys will see, SimpleCheck demo test, right? So this is what you'd actually see live. And just to show you it right here, SimpleCheck demo test. And then obviously if you want to change the portal, URL to have it look good, whatever you put in here at the, right there, we'll change that, right? Cool. Now, let's go back to the appearance. You're gonna wanna remove or just put your logo in here. That will help tremendously. And then, so you don't have SimpleCheck, right? Small joke. And then that is really it for the aesthetics. Let's move on to first name, last name, email, phone number. Obviously is not gonna change. This is where you can add a question, right? So obviously you saw mine right there. How tall are you? If I added the, Josh, or let's just say how, what's your weight, right? Let's pretend it's a weight loss, offer, right? I just leave these blank. You can always do a drop down if you wanted to ask them more questions with a radio button, but that's really it. And then you'll see once I run a test on myself later. But let's get into what everybody's been waiting for. So this is the smart routing. Now, if I did skip a step, so I'm going to go backwards. If you have not connected your calendar, which you haven't because I haven't covered it yet, you'll see on the right-hand side when it's the first time you logged in, this yellow section. For the business, just type in your entity legal name. It's going to go right there. And obviously, guys, you guys have seen me do it a few times where I hit save up there if I make any changes. If you do not hit save, none of your changes get saved, and you're going to have a bad time. So make sure you hit save. Now, go ahead and when you see it in here, click on calendar. And just because our calendar is synced, I'm actually not able to, but it's really simple, I promise. You're gonna see Google Calendar or GHL Calendar, depending on which one of those two that you use. You will click it, and in one click, it's gonna ask you to sign into Google or sign into Go High Level, and voila, it's connected. It's super easy, super simple. Yeah. All right, next up would be CRM. It's going to ask you to connect your CRM. Go High Level, we have a direct integration, meaning when you click it, it's literally going to just prompt you to click one time, very similar to the Go High Level calendar. So very straightforward there. HubSpot, same thing. Pipedrive, same thing. Obviously, Close CRM and Salesforce, we are building out right now that direct one-click seamless integration. For now, you will need to integrate using webhooks, right? So to, in other words, pull the data directly into a CRM outside of one of these three. You will need to use a webhook, all right? Now, real quick, Smart Capture, essentially all this means, we turn it on by default. This is if someone fills out your form but doesn't hit submit, right? So let's say they fill out up to right here, they go like that, they go like that, they type in their number, and then they are like, yeah, whatever, and then they leave. Well, this information will have been captured and sent directly to your CRM. Should you choose to have Smart Capture on, which I obviously highly recommend. There's probably lots of leads that, you know, that category falls into. You're going to collect a lot more of them that you weren't before. So now webhook, this is obviously it's just the same thing as what you'd see when you click right there for setting up a webhook, and then you've already turned on X-ray vision. So now let's get into my favorite part, which I hope is everyone's favorite part. This is what you would want everyone's, no matter what, settings to look like. This is my dream. If every client does this, all of us are happy. You're happy because you are not wasting time with unqualified leads. Your closers are happy. They're screaming. They're stoked. We're happy because I don't have to get on. I love you and I will support you. Don't worry, but I don't have to get on and coach you through how to do all of this because you've just set it up correctly from the beginning. This is what it would look like, right? If score above 650, you're going to put in wherever that URL is that you want people who are qualified to go to, right? Now, I want to clarify, this is from the moment that right here, they hit submit, it's going to have that little 2-second delay that you saw, and then it's either going to show them one landing page or another. You saw me in real time get routed to YouTube because I wasn't even unqualified. I was just totally no data, right? Because I used fake information, which again, a recap is these people, right? So if I, just to recap, those with no data or are just not from the United States, they are a real person, but we obviously we don't have a report on them. This is what you are telling our software to send them to, this default action, all right? Now, moving right along, I would rename, this actually comes as Rule 1, right? You should probably be seeing that. If it's your first time setting it up, I would change this to qualified leads, okay? And then just change the settings to reflect mine. And then obviously don't send your qualified buyers to Amazon.com. I just did that for the demo. All right, now we got plenty more to go through, so I'm gonna just do our very first test, okay? So when you, and then lastly, if you wanna just change this to the slug, very simple. But let's get into the fun part, which is actually testing it. Now, I'm gonna actually use my real information, and just so you guys know, I am about I wanna say, I think I'm a 750 something, right? So in other words, well into the qualified lead category. Apparently I can't smell my own email, right? Hang on. See, so it's asking me how tall I am. Yep, cool. And then what's your weight? So I just wanted you guys to kind of see the whole thing live, right? So I agree, cool. Now, it's really cool. Oh, and then, this is good. I'm glad this happened, right? So this is also gonna pop up for that second round. This is them agreeing to your marketing to get texts, calls, etc. So we're getting consent for that. We're also getting consent for this, right? So they hit continue. You should see me go to Amazon in real time. And there we are, right? So everything start to finish worked. And last but not least, there is 2 more things I want you guys to see, which is what the software actually is by far the most valuable tool And if you don't use it this way, it's just not even worth it. All right, so let's say you wanted to embed this as a widget. In other words, not send people to a standalone page where you are, using an independent link. All you would do is go right here, copy this embed code, and then you're gonna go to inside either Go High Level or ClickFunnels, whatever it is you use, right? You're gonna go to your sites and then your funnel and then edit. And then from inside the funnel builder, you're gonna go, obviously drag whatever the code, wherever you want the code on that landing page, but just to see it from the very beginning, this little plus sign in the upper left, scroll down to code, drag that, drop it in wherever you want the calendar to appear. Now, obviously you've seen I've done this a few times in here. Paste that, hit save, publish it, and voila, it will show up on the landing page. And just so you guys see, this is actually on simplecheck.com, just so you can see what an embedded form actually looks like. This is what it looks like, right? So nice, slick. Anyway, just wanted you to see one live on a page, all right? But that's how you would embed the form. And then last but not least, I wanna actually show you guys the power of SimpleCheck and what it looks like inside of your, CRM. All right, guys, so here is my contact info, right? I've obviously done plenty of testing, so, but just wanted you guys to see now inside your CRM, you can see on that lead, there's SimpleCheck credit score, and just so you guys know, it's under the additional info section inside the person's contact info, at least for GHL. And then you'll see, of course, there's SimpleCheck credit amount, which is amazing, right? So again, if they are qualified, meaning above a 650, there is a, first of all, 20 to 25% chance of them not showing up. Meaning 70 to 75% of the time, if they are a qualified lead, they're gonna show up to the call they booked. Now, you tell me, if they have the money to be able to buy and they're qualified and they're gonna show up to the call, I'll let you fill in the blank as to what happens, and it's all over our testimonials page. Now, I'm gonna keep rolling, okay? Because the last, and I would say definitely not least feature that I wanna show you in this demo is to set up the Smart List, okay? So you're gonna click right here on Smart Lists. Now, of course, I want you to filter, okay? You're gonna do tag, and then is, and then for you guys, it's going to be qualified, okay? For us, we obviously been doing it forever, so, oh, actually, this will work. Yeah, there we go. So if I hit qualified and then apply, there it is. So these are literally all of our qualified leads. You guys can't see them because I'm gonna blur it out for their privacy, but you can literally see anyone who's been marked as qualified. This came through today, and super exciting. So I would make sure though to hit save as smart list, and then I would do SimpleCheck qualified, right? So now all of your setters, all of your closers, everyone on your team is rocking and rolling, and they're only following up with, checking in with, etc., qualified leads. We had a client who actually cut his setter team in half because the efficiency of the setter team, they only had to call 60% less leads, right? They lost like 60 to 70% of the leads in a good way, right? Because they didn't need to contact them, because they found that all that energy and all that focus and all that follow-up was just literally not resulting in a single dollar. So anyway, that's the importance of smart lists. Last but not least, inside your portal, you have me in the bottom right here. Anytime you guys have a question, click right there, and you can, count on us for a response within 24 hours. Actually, just our whole team is in here too. All right, guys, that's a wrap.